Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA private label and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, your host, founder, and CEO of Ecomcy. And today we bring you another special guest. Her name is Fatos Fatin, and she's the founder and CEO actually of an amazing agency called Maximus, which is specialized on everything that has to do with content creation and listing optimization in the Amazon space. And we're going to be talking around some of the tips and strategies she actually has been implementing to support her clients to succeed on Amazon. And of course, we're also going to touch a little bit about her journey in the Amazon space as a seller as well. So I think for me, it's a pleasure to have you here, Fatos. You know, we've been in contact for a number of months, even years, I will say now
Yeah,
to this date. So it's definitely a pleasure. I know the amount of experience you have in this space. So yeah, welcome to the show. How you doing?
thank you. Thank you for having me, Vincenzo. It's great to be on the show.
Thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure. And yes, as I just say, actually, I think it goes back, if I'm not mistaken, first time we met maybe was seller sessions here in London, something like that. I know it was in London. I don't recall the event.
Actually, it
You
was
remember?
one it was scale for e-tail. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Scale for retail. That's very
yeah,
good. Yeah, I remember now. I remember. Yeah, and and yes, I remember. Actually, we were having a discussion. You were showing me some of the things you were doing
yeah,
with your clients and the agency, and we actually had the opportunity in the past to also work together. So I
yeah.
can definitely speak of the good work you're bringing to the space. And you know, today I wanna grab a little bit your brain, as they call it, in terms of the tips and strategies.
Mhm.
But before we jump into that, though, I want to talk a little bit about you, Fatos. I know you have also interesting background in terms of as a seller and also how you jump into the commerce space. So tell me a little bit about that and how you basically then founded the agency, and we go from there. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, I built a multi-seven-figure business off Amazon. Many years. I was in the lingerie and swimwear industry.
Nice.
Having studied economics at university. So I've had quite an interesting journey. So I had a lot of experience running a business, all aspects of a business, from sales to manufacturing to
Great.
logistics, marketing, everything. And then during the COVID times when that happened, that's when I had a little bit more time to think about what else I wanted to do, and
Yeah.
always wanted to get into e-commerce. So I thought Amazon was the perfect way to do that. And that's when I started my private label business. And I wanted to do it in a completely different niche to what I was doing off Amazon. So I started as a private label seller in the US market, and then I was doing all my own listing content creation, and an opportunity came along. Somebody who's very well known in the Amazon space, who was into listing optimization, said, I think you could do really well with this. What do you think? And I thought,
Yeah.
this is fantastic, because I love that side of the business, and it's an opportunity to provide a service and to help other sellers. And so that's how I got into it. And the rest, as they say, is history. So this is kind of what keeps me busy every day.
That's good. Very interesting. I mean, I love first of all the background and the journey you've been going through to get here, because I feel like, especially we that are in the service provider space, it's super important sometimes to highlight that. You know, we've been there. We've been in the seller's shoes as well. We understand the struggles. We understand
Yeah,
the wins when you have them, the losses when you have them, the struggles. We've been having those days from the very beginning, and I think
yeah,
at the end of the day, that's what basically created the foundation that we now bring with our business. That you know, the experience and that we did with our brands and our products, and now we're basically offering that to clients so they can succeed in the Amazon space. Now, I bet that with all this time that you now been working with all these clients throughout your agency, you've been definitely identifying like what are the things that are working the best, what are some of the tips, what are some of the strategies. And I know before the podcast, something that you brought to the table in terms of wanting to discuss was the A plus content, which I feel like specifically the premium A plus content is something that people don't talk a lot lately, and it's also relatively new. So not a lot of people really understand how it works sometimes, or how to even apply to it. So maybe you can give us a little of insight about how's your experience being with the the premium A plus content, and what can people expect to get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that there are still some sellers who don't even have the basic A plus
Yeah.
content, even if they're brand registered. And I think that is such a waste, because it's completely free, really valuable real estate that Amazon gives us as sellers. And it's a big space. There's a
Yeah.
lot of space to fill with images, with graphics, where you can really engage with the shoppers, educate them about your product, but also just showcase it, show the benefits, the features, everything, and just kind of grab the
Yeah.
shopper, bring them in, get them to
Yeah.
send, get them to spend their money. So the difference between basic A plus and premium A plus is actually, there are so many differences, and we're just seeing that it's really, really helping boost
Mm-hmm.
conversions. And at the end of the day, conversions are really, really important.
Yeah.
There's all those ad dollars we're spending. We want to make sure that we're getting our return when people click on the listing we want them to buy.
Yeah.
So first of all, premium A plus content. What do you need to be able to have access to premium A plus content? It's very simple. You need to have brand story uploaded on all of your listings. That's the
Okay.
first one. The second one is you have to have 15 sets of A plus content approved
Yeah.
within the last year. So a lot
Okay.
of sellers might kind of think that that means they have to have 15 products, which not
Yeah.
every seller will have. That's
Yeah.
not the case. It means that you need to have submitted A plus
Applications.
content
Yeah.
and had it approved 15 times. So
Yeah.
yes, so that is, those are the criteria, the main criteria. So if
Yeah.
you can tick those off, then you have access to premium A plus content, and it is definitely worth it.
Yeah.
You can one first advantage, the module sizes are much bigger, so you take up a lot more of the screen. And especially because a lot of people are shopping on mobile, the more space you can take up, the bigger the image is, the
Yeah.
more you're going to engage the shopper. So that's one of them. The other advantage is it's very interactive. There are lots of new modules where you can upload a video. You can have
Okay.
carousels, you can have hotspots. So you're getting the shopper to interact with your listing, which means they're going to stay on your listing for longer. And it also gives you the opportunity to show your product in different ways, in much more a dynamic way rather than a static way, which
Mm-hmm.
really, really helps. It creates a more kind of lifelike shopping experience.
Yes.
So those are the big advantages. The other one is that the modules connect to each other seamlessly. So where
Okay.
you have basic A plus content, you're always going to see like a line that
Yeah.
separates them.
Separation. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and where you
So
have
this one, I guess, is more like a slideshow. Like everything is seamlessly connected between each other and so on, right?
yeah, and so you can go from the top of the page to the bottom without any breaks.
Yeah.
So, quite often what we do is we will merge two modules into one to create quite
I
a
see.
large image. But then, the shopper doesn't realize that that's actually two modules. They
Yeah.
think it's one image. So
Yeah.
you can create really impactful images. And actually, the other thing is, in terms of sort of, the interactive nature of it, is that you can embed a video. There are
Mm-hmm.
several different video modules. You can have like a full-size video. There are also video carousels where you can upload your UGC videos. Say if you've got people posting videos on YouTube or in Instagram, you can
Yeah.
use those. So it's just making shopping much more fun and
Yeah.
engaging.
Yeah, it's basically stepping up the game for the brands that doing proper branding. It's like to offer that unique feeling, which I feel like nowadays, and this is something I always discuss on most of the episodes in today's age on Amazon. It's all about branding. It's all about the perception that you provides, rather than trying to do what most people is been doing, which is why they've been struggling, which is just offer something generic, compete on price, and the conversation that we have on a daily basis. And now a quick question, because I'm sure some people that is hearing this may have this question as well. You mentioned something also that a lot of people are not doing, which is the brand story, right?
Yes,
So can you do a quick intro about what is that and how people could do it? Because I'm sure for some people
sure.
it's also the first time they hear it.
Yeah,
I personally think it's also add a ton of value, especially if your brand comes from a family background or something cultural based, and
yeah.
so it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sits at the bottom of your listing above
Mm,
A plus content, or where the description is, that the A plus content obviously sits on top of that. So it's at the bottom of your listing, and it's like a strip. You can add in images, you can tell story about your brand, about your products, and
mm-hmm.
also there are clickable images, so
Yeah.
people can click on them, and they will, if you're selling, if it's you're listing for say one product, and then in your brand story somebody sees some of your other products, they can just click on them and go straight to that listing.
Yeah.
It's a great tool for cross-selling your products and just kind of building brand awareness.
Yeah.
In your, in the space that you have for your listing, your main image stack and your bullet points, you may not necessarily have a lot of space. You may not have enough space
Mm,
to talk about
okay.
the history of your brand, maybe.
Yeah.
So that brand story space is great to just kind of bring that extra element into it.
Very good. And just to clarify, this brand aspect of the listing, does
Mhm.
everybody that has access to brand register from day one has access to this, or it's also an extra criteria for people to join?
No, everybody who's brand registered can create a brand story module. Yeah, they can do that.
Okay.
When they go on
Very
to
good.
create A plus content,
They will see
they
the option.
see the option there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Now, talking about A plus content, something that I find all these people finding challenging in A
Mhm.
plus content is to really decide about what is going to be the perfect layout for my brand, how many assets do I need to have in there, um, and basically, yeah, how do I need to structure this in a way that actually improves conversion, right, and actually sometimes damaging if you don't do it proper, right, because it could be
Yeah.
backwards as well. So what are some of the advice you will give to brands right now listening this? Like, what are some of the key elements and A plus content you will say must have to
Mhm.
really say, okay, this has the things to really offer what the listing requires to improve conversion, you see?
Yeah. So it has to be visually very appealing.
Hmm.
So
No
pretty.
canvas. No canvas copy paste. Yeah.
Exactly. It's got to be visually appealing. It's got to be high quality. I mean,
Yeah.
if you sort of get some homemade images that you've copied and pasted in and they
Yeah.
don't look very professional, as you say, that can be really damaging to your brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So quality and visually appealing, attractive images and graphics. Um, Go easy on the text. People have quite short attention spans. So it's really important to grab their attention with images and graphics and a little bit of text, but
Yeah.
not
No
too.
chunks of paragraphs like this on the image. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And not like if you're putting in bullet points, or you're a great way of doing it, if you're using a bullet point format. Say for example, you want to highlight on a product,
Mhm.
it's vegan, it's cruelty free,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
natural, those sorts of attributes. Don't make a list of 10 of them. Pick
Yeah.
about four, and just use little icons rather than a dot or something. Just it makes it more attractive. It makes it more fun. It needs to be fun. You don't want something that's overly serious. It needs to have an element of fun in it. So, using graphics, icons, that's a great way to kind of get people's attention.
Okay.
Um, and tell a story. This is the thing that I always say when we're creating content.
Mhm.
Tell a story, because that's how you can capture people's attention and get their
Mhm.
imagination going.
Yeah.
Everybody's interested in a story, so give them something that's gonna, like, you give them a hook, and then you reel them in. You just
Yeah.
keep them reading, keep them scrolling, because they're interested. You just need to grab their attention.
Yeah. I love it. Now, a question that I also get when it comes to A plus content, maybe you can give us also some strategy and tips, is how to navigate this issue when, well, this issue, no, like this implementation when you have multiple variations, right?
Mhm.
Because some people ask themselves, should I make just a generic one and just copy paste across all the variations, or should I actually be smart and use A plus content to cross sell my whole lineup and actually highlight how this product goes with this other product and all of that? So
Yeah.
based on your experience, what have you seen is I know this is very product specific at the end of the day, but in the big spectrum of things, like what is usually the best approach to attack A plus content where you have many products and sometimes to be cost effective, you need to simplify things. Like what are some tips you can give them? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Mostly, we tend to create one set of A plus content that we apply to all the variations.
Okay.
Um, it's a great way to cross sell your products, and especially now, where you can use carousels or hotspots. You've got a really fun way of being able to show the different,
Hmm.
the different variations. Um, I mean, there are always different schools of thought, and depending on the product, some people will get different, they'll get different results. But generally, if you've got variations, say like if it's a color variation or a design variation,
Yeah.
we put them all in the same A plus content.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. Now, when it comes to testing the effect of F plus content,
Mhm.
do you usually recommend, as a part of the strategy, to do a lot of split testing with this? Because as we do split testing with the title and the main
Yeah.
image, like, will you also advise that with A plus content we constantly do a split testing, or you will say for the A plus content we don't need to be as aggressive as it comes to testing as we do with things like a main image and title? What is your take on that usually?
Yeah. I think it's always good to split test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think, as you say, I don't think you need to be as aggressive
Mm-hmm.
as you would with the main image and the title,
Mm-hmm.
because like the A plus content is kind of, it is really important. It's really important for your conversions and for overall sales, but it is more like the icing on the cake rather than kind of the
Supporting.
cake itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly there, I guess, to add the extra, yeah, the extra push in terms of convincing the client that you're really a premium product or the brand is there and all that to make them take the decision, right?
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, so when it comes to A plus content, of course, we are talking about all the different transitions that we can have on a product. And you touch on something very interesting, which is video, right? I think
Yeah.
video is also something super powerful, and I see a lot of people is not using it as well.
Yeah.
Like, or if they use it, they use the very generic, like from Canvas or something like that, which at the end of the day, I would say zero words and having none. So
Yeah.
I would like to do a small transition here and also touch a little bit on video, because I definitely think Amazon is every single day pushing more towards video. We see it on the listings and the plus content, with Amazon Live and all the different things they have in the pipeline. So, what is your take on video? If you can also give us, based on your experience, like, eh, because at the end of the day, it's part of the plus content, the premium. So we could potentially repurpose that for the listing as well. So, what is
Yeah.
usually the strategy you recommend there in terms of the assets and all of that? Yeah,
Yeah, you have to have a video.
yeah,
It's like for me, it's not optional,
yeah,
um, because it's the easiest way to showcase your product in use, showing all the features and benefits. When you have a moving image, it is so much more powerful than a static image for people to look at.
yeah.
You know, you can have amazing lifestyle images, which you need to have, um, anyway, and graphics. But, you know, if you think of the amount of effort it is for a shopper to go through all your image stack, read the infographics, versus they can just sit and watch a video and see somebody using the product and showing how amazing the product is, the video is going to win every time.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
especially because we also mentioned this as well a lot. Is like when people is shopping online, they don't have the opportunity as they have on a shop to touch the product, try on, interact. So you want to basically make sure that you get as close as possible to the customer, in this case the video, to
yeah,
make them feel like how actually looks like the product, having it in the hand, interacting with it, and all of that, which the images, let's be honest, most of the time is not able to give the full picture on that spectrum. So very important.
yeah,
Now, I think now when I open up the scope a little bit broader, because now that we're talking about A plus content video, I think the next question, of course, which is very valid, is regarding the images, right?
yeah.
So the images, we know, is realistically the most important thing of a listing. Is it like what really can make or break your listing?
Mhm.
So can you give us also like some insights about what is really been working for you? And what I mean by this, like, is there a specific amount of elements or structure in terms of how you do these images that you see consistently working in terms of conversion rate? Like maybe a second image is featured, third image is comparison image, four images. You get the idea. Like, what is the setup you see working the best usually based on your experience lately with the day-to-day
Yeah, I
stuff?
mean, we generally follow a format where we make sure we're showing features, we're
Mm-hmm.
showing benefits, we're showing the product in use. Where, for example, where there are ingredients that go into a product, we make sure we're highlighting those with infographics. Um, I think, so that there is that basic structure that we follow. We make sure, we're showing the USP.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what is really important is relatability.
Mm,
So people want to be able to look at a product and, be able to imagine themselves using it.
yeah.
And it is benefit. You need to show people what problem is this product going to solve for you. You can list all the features of a product, but if you're not telling the shopper why those features are important, how are those features going to help the person, the shopper, then you're not really maximizing that sort of the way that you're communicating with the customer. So benefits, showing the benefits.
Very good. Now, I think so. We can start concluding to this episode, which I think we have touched on a lot of value, and I'm sure a lot of people is gonna be implementing these tips. I wanna, get the extra gold nugget, as people call it, also in the Amazon space when it comes to optimization overall as a listing. Of course, it doesn't have to be something image related. It could be also in terms of copy, like basically in summary, like, have you seen, or is there some kind of tip you think maybe we didn't cover, or area? It doesn't need to be a tip, area that you feel like also lately people is dropping the ball a lot there lately, and maybe you can share some advice around how to optimize that further. Is there
Yeah.
something you want to share as well? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. One aspect we didn't talk about is sales copy and,
Mm,
title
okay.
and keywords.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, we're very visual, and the visual part of the listing is generally taking the lion's share of driving the sales. But I think a lot of sellers overlook sales copy, and it is really important. That the two elements, obviously your keyword research, you need to do that really well and know what needs to be included in your listing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your title, you need to be discoverable. um, and your bullet points as well. It's important to talk to your customer. I know that a lot of people will just skim the bullet points, but there are a lot of shoppers who do take the time to read them. And why not? You're
Yeah.
here to sell a product. Just put the effort into your bullet points and make sure that they're communicating with the shopper as well.
Yeah. Super important. Yeah. I think the issue with copy, I feel, is like because not a lot of people know how to do it properly, because that's a
Yeah,
difficult skill to be a copywriter. I think they
yeah,
just have over time just assume that copy is only for SEO purposes. But I totally agree. A lot of people still read the bullet points, and they want to see the way you communicate to the client, and the way you describe the product you're actually selling to them. And if the wording and the connection is not there, yeah, you're gonna lose a lot of people, especially if it's a niche where people is very fanatic with the products and the branding and all that. Like, yes, super
yeah,
important. You don't want to be one of those Chinese sellers that is just keyword stuffing, that
yeah.
none of the text makes sense, right?
Exactly. And even the grammar, if I'm shopping on Amazon and like the grammar's really bad, it just
Yeah,
puts me off. So just
yeah,
making sure that your language is correct and spot
yeah,
on
yeah,
for
super
credibility
important.
is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So thank you very much, Fatos. I mean, we had an amazing episode and appreciate your time and your knowledge. Before we conclude, of course, I want you to take a minute or so you can tell me more and our audience as well about how people can reach out to you, and also your company, where I'm sure you can help them with everything we just discussed today. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear from anyone we can help with listings. For anybody who connects with us after this podcast, we will offer a half-hour listing audit completely free
Mm,
of charge. We can go through and discuss, any potential weaknesses, ways things could be improved,
nice.
and also if anybody afterwards, if they want to engage us to work with us to upgrade or refresh their listings, then we'll have a special discount which we will offer off the whole package of 15%.
Nice. I'm gonna make sure to put all
So
the information down
yeah,
in the description so for people to reach out. In the meantime, yeah, thank you once more, and looking forward to see you at future events. I think I'm gonna actually see you in 2 weeks' time in New York, so looking forward
yes,
to it. Yeah,
yes, I will be there with you.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Vincenzo.
Bye bye. See
Thanks.
ya.
Bye.